In today's video, we're going to be talking about the tropics. We do have now tropical depression, Sean, out there, and a area of what I would call extremely high probability of development out there. Also in the upcoming pattern, we have some nor'easters on the way still. We talked about that yesterday. We're going to be deep diving into that further today. We also have some big temperature swings on the way and potentially an end to the colder pattern in the east for the beginning of November, and colder times ahead for the west as well. Some snowfall, not only in the west, but also now in the east, potentially. We'll be talking about that today. Before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below. We do weekly consulting calls. We do all of our monthly and seasonal outlooks over there, early access, and it's only $5 a month. Again, in the description and pinned comment down below. Let's dive into things, and as we take a look here at the tropics, you can see Tropical Depression Sean, which we will dive into in just a moment. We also have, this is the main thing we want to talk about, this area of formation. 70% chance now over the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of development over the next 7 days. Definitely expecting this one to develop over the next 2 days, and if not, the days following. So we are going to be tracking this one very, very closely. As we take a look at the cone forecast here for Tropical Depression Sean, as expected, it has downgraded from tropical storm status down to now tropical depression status, and we do expect that by tomorrow it will be a post-tropical cyclone. So this one will probably be our last cone forecast we take a look at here for Tropical Depression Sean. Let's dive into the upcoming pattern. We do have a larger storm system moving across the nation. This one kind of started out in the Rockies, now has moved into the Midwest and Ohio Valley area. And let's see what it ends up doing. I mean, we can see that this is bringing a lot of precipitation to many different areas across the upper Midwest, Great Lakes here, the Ohio Valley, down through the southeast as well. This one is a far-stretching storm, and it's bringing impacts to many different folks. By this evening, we will see a low developing over eastern North Carolina, and this will be bringing pretty intense precipitation here to, again, the Ohio Valley, the southeast into the mid-Atlantic, and then basically very quiet outside of that. Let's keep going towards tomorrow afternoon, and what we end up seeing is a trough finally moving back into the eastern United States, where cold is basically free-flowing into this area. We see something just like this, and again, we talked about it a lot yesterday, but there is this very cold, very dreary weather over these areas. You see the little bits of light green kind of just scattered about. It almost looks like camouflage there. That is where we're seeing drizzly conditions, mostly cloudy, and just off and on, again, drizzle happening in here, also combined with very cool temperatures compared to normal. Monday is going to be even colder, as we can see the heart of this cool down is sitting somewhere over the Appalachian Mountain Range. We do see, again, some showery and drizzly activity happening here across the Ohio Valley, Northeast, and some of these mountainous regions in the Appalachian area. We do see another low moving onshore, 1001 millibar low pressure center there. This is bringing some stretching rainfall down here to Washington, Oregon, and California. So we will be watching this one to impact multiple different states. As we reach Tuesday the 17th, we could see not really an organized low out here, but there is just kind of a broad, very weak area of low pressure. And this is causing, again, that showery activity for a lot of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Some snowfall mixing in with everything here for Montana, but again, a very quiet day overall. Wednesday, October 18th here, what we're seeing is that there's a lot of precipitation happening around this low over Minnesota now, 1002. Quiet outside of that area. Thursday here on the 19th, what we see is that this low is still around now kind of over eastern Wisconsin. And this one, we can tell there's a bit of a cold front, warm front dynamic happening here. So expect warmer temperatures surging up the East Coast, cold air coming in behind. That is the theme of what we're seeing here. Friday here on the 20th, what we end up seeing is a lot of precipitation here in the eastern states. 1005 down here, 1002 up here in eastern Canada, and we see some potential nor'easter activity as some heavier precipitation is developing. And after we move just a couple of hours beyond that, what we see is all of this energy for the most part has transferred to offshore. We see a 990 millibar low pressure center near kind of the northeast here, bringing a lot of precipitation and a lot of wind onshore. We see a 997 millibar low pressure center as well here for the southeast. So definitely taking a look at two separate areas of pretty heavy precipitation. The second one actually moves up into the northeast as a major nor'easter, 982 millibar low pressure center there. And again, this one has an even larger precipitation field, bringing precipitation up and down that kind of northern half of the East Coast. We do have another northwest system moving in. We can see it's a 997 here. And behind it, we can see some heavier rainfall with heavier snowfall for the Canadian Rockies in there, and also some of these Cascade Mountains down in Oregon and Washington, mostly for very high elevation areas. We do see a more intense snow system moving into Colorado and Wyoming here around Monday the 23rd. And we also see some of these very high elevation areas in the northeast seeing snowfall on Monday, October 23rd. Take that with a grain of salt. That is very early in the season, but we are moving ever so closely to that time of year where that will start to be a common occurrence. Something interesting to note here is that we have very, very deep Arctic air over western and south central Canada. And if this decides to move in, we could be taking a look at an extremely potent Arctic blast, more potent than any of them that we've seen so far, and could be, you know, very major in general terms. I mean, it's hard to even put it into words, but that is a significantly potent cold air mass up there in Canada. And if anything prompts that to move southward, we're going to be looking at some very interesting impacts. The total precipitation here, we can see the northwest seeing above average activity, and also for the eastern seaboard here with these nor'easters. And that's basically it. Anywhere in between these two areas here, we're looking at nearly average to below average precipitation. So east and northwestern coasts is mostly where we're seeing that activity. Total snowfall here, we can see that there is, again, some here for the mountaintops of the northeast. And then for the Cascades down through the Rockies, we're starting to see this increase again. Anywhere in the grays, a dusting. If anything, blues 2 to 6 inches, and then purples are 6 to 10. We even see some pinks there for southern Wyoming, and that would be 10 inches plus along some of those mountaintops. So these ski resorts are starting to really see some interesting activity and some snowfall developing, and conditions are getting pretty ripe down there. As we reach towards this evening, we can see below average temperatures overall for the central and northeastern states. There's still a little bit of some warmth left over here in the southeast. But by the time we're taking a look at Sunday, we can see that coming to an end very quickly, as it's quite obvious we have a very strong positive PNA here over the west. Cooler conditions here over the east overall, so very, very cool compared to normal. There, Monday's going to be a lot of the same, maybe even more potent here. The greens are indicative of about 10 to 15 degrees below normal. These cooler temperatures we see over the Appalachian Mountains, where it turns kind of bluish again, is 15 to 25 degrees below normal. So certainly a very, very far stretch from what's typical for this time of year. Tuesday, we're still holding on to it. Wednesday, we're still holding on to it for the eastern seaboard, but by Thursday, we see a switch coming, some warmer air moving in. We do get another Arctic blast kind of around this 22nd, 23rd time frame, but the warmth here, the center of the warmth is showing signs of moving eastward. This is what would have been that positive PNA along the western seaboard. And speaking of PNA, we see cold beginning to move in, maybe indicative of a negative PNA starting. So I could see around the 25th through the end of October overall, so around 30th, 31st, at some point in that time frame, seeing a switch up in the pattern. But again, we do have very potent cold air available over western Canada, and if that does decide to move into the eastern states, we could continue to see colder temperatures, maybe even colder than it was before. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.